Good morning, everyone. It's James Carpenter with Country Living. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what my shirt says, this survivalist thing, which I've pretty much been a survivalist my entire life, and I honestly believe that that stems from my childhood. My dad was born in 1924 and my mom was born in 1928. So they lived through the Great Depression, and during that period they probably picked up some hoarding skills. My dad always had a lot of stuff around. My mom had her share of stuff. But for me, it was a learned thing from childhood. I observed my parents doing it, so I kind of carried it on. And basically what ended up happening is I started to think about stuff that I wanted, and back then I had no clue what manifesting was, but I was manifesting and didn't know it. And all my friends would say, "Hey Carp, things just come to you." And that developed over the years, and the frequency got less and less for those items that I thought about to come to me. So where I'm going with this is, you know, life is a journey, obviously, and people get caught up in an hourly rate at a 40-hour-a-week facility, and they're limited on funds, and they are limited as to what they can do. So I was in that boat myself in my younger years. So I would start thinking about stuff that I needed, and basically it would just show up. I might be driving down the road and there it is in somebody's trash. Stop the car, pick it up, throw it in the trunk and go. There was a lot of that, and also in the early days there's a lot of construction in my area. So every Sunday morning I'd hook the trailer up to the truck, and I would drive through these housing complexes where they were building new homes. And out by the dumpster, lo and behold, there's all this scrap lumber. So I would load that scrap lumber up and bring it back to my place and use it for construction materials. Now, another way that things come to you is listen to what your friends say. Oh, so-and-so's got this and they want to get rid of it, or you can have it for free. Obviously, that's another way. But honestly, it's the whole thing of manifesting. I want to say that on my channel, you hear me talk a lot about this habitat stuff. So I've kind of evolved. I call myself a selective junk hunter. So I just don't bring anything and everything home, because you can't warehouse it all. So I only bring home selective stuff. And I do come across a lot of selective stuff. But more recently, I've got that connection with Habitat, and I know a vendor that works directly with them, and I purchase everything through that vendor. And typically he will show up in a pickup truck, and he'll have stuff in the bed of the truck, and I look at it and I either buy or I pass. In most cases I end up buying, because it's just too good of a deal to pass up. So a lot of the projects I do on my channel, I do with scraps, and I am a hoarder, and I do have a very large inventory of fasteners, wood, all kinds of stuff. Probably way more than I need, but I got enough to keep me busy in my latter days. Got the 40-hour-a-week job. They're limited. If they were to use some of these techniques that I'm talking about, they may be able to do a lot more than they can imagine, because the stuff that I put together, the property that I own and everything, would cost, I don't even know how much money. But the fact that I can work with my hands and I can use scrap materials, I have been able to do a lot of the stuff that I've done on this property with materials that were discarded by someone else. That makes a huge difference, because if you go to the local hardware store and you purchase lumber or you purchase fasteners, that stuff starts adding up really quick. And the free stuff at that point is very important to make forward progress without spending an abundance of money. So during my life, I always worked as much overtime as I possibly could. And the reason I did that is because I knew money is what makes the world go around. So for example, when I worked at Honda, my average week was 60 hours. I took 2 days off a month, and that was every other Sunday. But Honda paid so well that I couldn't pass that overtime up. But I used that money to do some of the bigger projects around the property. And, you know, like having a well put in or having a driveway put in, that kind of thing. Even now today, I wouldn't need somebody to put my driveway in. I got that little Kubota tractor, which would dig a driveway out pretty quick. I just know that the stuff that I've drug home over the years and the stuff that I've used in construction around my property has saved me a lot of money. And it can do the same for someone else. But not everybody has the skills to build or do plumbing, do electrical and all that. Fortunately for me, that was instilled as a young child because my dad was a handyman himself, and he was also a union electrician, and he taught me the electrical trade very well. So at an early age, I would help him with wiring houses and all that. That was a very valuable skill. My dad was good with working with lumber, so I learned how to measure, cut, and do different things with lumber. So that was very helpful. I would say that if you got that 40-hour-a-week job, you're limited. You know, there's things you can do. You can work overtime. Now, the more overtime you work, the less time you have with your family. I get that. But I've always been motivated by money, because with money, I can do things. And I've done a lot around here. But now that I call it semi-retired, I've got the rest of my family running the auto repair shop, which currently generates the income to put food on the table. I have Social Security coming in. I started drawing that at, I think it was 66. As far as medical goes, I'm on Medicare, which I don't use very often because I'm also a veteran, and the veterans have taken good care of my medical needs for, gosh, probably 25, 30 years. But I've got the Medicare to fall back on. If for some reason I'm on a vacation somewhere and there's no VA facility handy, I can still get treatment, use the Medicare. But having, you know, life insurance and all that, I've got all the other insurances, homeowner, business insurance and all that. And at one point in my life, I had life insurance. I let that go. Through a divorce, it was just one of the things that got dropped. The 401k, the ex took half of it, and the rest of mine went to pay child support. But anyhow, I'm not gonna keep rambling about that kind of stuff. I do want to say that I appreciate you watching my channel. If you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, consider it.